With the latest of so many company restructurings happening over at Hi-Rez, we're getting the chance to witness the collapse of so many live service games happening in real time. And I had just finished talking about how awful it was that Hi-Rez was pulling the plug on Divine Knockout, their 3D platform fighter, when apparently I get the news that it wasn't the only game that Hi-Rez was killing off, they're getting rid of Realm Royale too. So Hi-Rez came out with a statement saying that Hi-Rez is shutting down Realm Royale Reforged and Divine Knockout on February. I only knew about the Divine Knockout part, but according to the page on their Steam and their little update section, it actually says that the game's servers will be shutting down on February 17th on 2025. You can still enjoy the game, you can still play it until then, and all the cosmetics now cost only 1 crown, which, you know, you also get 100 crowns for free on the daily login bonus, so in other words, they're basically giving you all the cosmetics for free. And you know, as a company that put all of their eggs into the gaming as a service basket, they've been hitting the panic button over and over again at Hi-Rez, and they're just bleeding cash like crazy. Mainly because of like the dwindling player base in all of their games, but especially because they're just focusing all of their efforts on Smite 2. That's basically their one winning card that they have left because they've just exhausted every other resource at this point. It also doesn't help that Hi-Rez has just always been called out for chasing trends instead of just focusing on making unique experiences. But if you're like me and you've been keeping track of Hi-Rez as a company and you're seeing all the struggles that they've been going through just to be able to stay afloat, then, you know, Realm Royale dying isn't really breaking news. It really isn't. But this might actually come as a surprise to a lot of people who just aren't really in the loop, even if they were active Realm Royale players in the first place, because Realm Royale, I don't know if you guys remember, it was actually in the process of being revived. It was being reforged. They actually did a whole refresh and rebrand of Realm Royale about a year ago, where they called it Realm Royale Reforged. They announced that they were going to keep working on the game and give it some updates after it had already been abandoned in the first place. So let me give you a quick backstory with Realm Royale. This game exploded into popularity when it first launched because it came out during peak Battle Royale insanity where Fortnite was just taking over the industry. Hi-Rez decided to dip their toes in the water and release Paladin's Battleground, which was actually a Battle Royale game mode inside Paladin's the hero shooter. That came out all the way back in February 2018, and that game mode was actually so popular that Hi-Rez decided to go all in and make it its own separate thing. And that's how we ended up with Realm Royale in the first place, the first ever hero shooter Battle Royale game. You know, way before Apex Legends was even a thing. And the initial reception from Realm Royale, well, you know, it was so big that literally every major streamer was playing it. Like Ninja was one that was just spearheading the movement. I remember my first ever Battle Royale win ever was in Realm Royale, so, you know, this game, I have a little bit of nostalgic value for it. It wasn't a lot of people's top 3 BR games at the time, myself included, but you know, Hi-Rez, once again, they managed to find a golden goose that can guarantee them success over the long run, and then they just proceed to strangle it. And obviously, look, I understand that if you're not prepared for your game to just go absolutely viral, if you're not prepared for that wave of popularity, you're not gonna make 100% the best decisions in terms of the business and the game's success over the long run all of the time. But, you know, you really gotta ask yourself, when was the last time you saw Hi-Rez make a business decision that actually only got better over the long run? The situation with Realm Royale is that the game went super viral and it had everybody playing it. They had the perfect moment, they had everyone's attention, and then they just started throwing out updates to the game that were just way out of left field, you know? They were making major changes to all the things that made Realm Royale so unique in the first place. Like, they got rid of the class-specific weapons and abilities, they got rid of the armor system, and it's like they were trying to make Realm Royale be more generic like Fortnite instead of just being itself, instead of being the one thing that, you know, made it so popular in the first place. So when Realm Royale stopped looking and playing and feeling like Realm Royale, everybody kind of just got driven away and the game was just left in the dust. Now, I don't know if you guys remember this, but about a year ago, the team over at Hi-Rez decided to completely renovate Realm Royale and give it like a sort of soft relaunch, you know, Overwatch 2 style, Warzone 2 style, you know, where they took out all the terrible updates that the game accumulated over the years and brought back all the fan favorite stuff that everybody loved from the first game. And that's how we ended up with Realm Royale Reforged, you know, the current version of Realm that we have today that was supposed to bring back Realm from the gutter, because if you go ahead and look at the Steam charts, like, it had a massive explosion on release, 100,000 concurrent players, and, you know, it kind of just died over time. You know, it's normal for this to happen in a live service game, but this is what Realm Royale Reforged did. This is what the great sequeling, the great update patch did. You had, like, this the one little tiny little bump of an extra 2,000 players that didn't even last 3 months. So they put all of those development hours, all of that extra work to try to revive Realm Royale, but unfortunately, not many people other than the regulars actually knew about it. You know, there wasn't really that much marketing surrounding it, and well, the game's been on a steady decline ever since, Like, I understand how we ended up in this situation, that Realm Royale is being forced to shut down in order for Hi-Rez to keep the lights on their business, but part of me thinks that all of this really just could have been avoided. Like, I can imagine a different timeline where Hi-Rez didn't build up this sort of reputation with its community, and that all of their releases from Paladins to Rogue Company to Divine Knockout, maybe they don't dominate as hard as, being the top tier game that's out there, but at least they do well. At least they get proper updates, they develop a niche community that just grows over time. And I know that the normal trend for a live service game is to have like these massive numbers on release, like how Paladins did, because everybody's hyped up for the new free-to-play game, and everyone's playing it, everyone's talking about it, and then the numbers and the hype, just dwindle down over time. But that's not always the case, because we do have a few outliers, like Deep Rock Galactic, for example. That one came out and had almost nobody playing it, and just looking at the chart, you can see that it's only going up from here. The same thing happening with Hunt Showdown. So while these are just outliers, this doesn't happen all the time, and for the most part, this is almost like an impossibility when it comes to live servers games. It doesn't mean that, these few cases don't exist. So imagine a world where Hi-Rez could like potentially pull off something like this, and it doesn't have their Steam charts look so depressing. For example, you have Realm Royale here, you have Paladins here, it's all a downward trend. And if you look at their other games like Rogue Company, I can guarantee you it's also gonna have like the same chart. Oh yeah, that's awful. I think the current strategy that Hi-Rez is going for right now of just abandoning all of their previous games that they spend millions working on to just focus on solely Smite 2, that's extremely risky. It's just a last effort ditch, a Hail Mary to try to see if they can actually just bring back Hi-Rez from the gutters, but Smite 2 isn't even a guaranteed success, because Smite 2 isn't even out yet and it already has a bunch of complaints from the community. So with their latest restructure, they basically abandoned development for Paladins and Rogue Company. They have a little bit of content left for Smite 1, but apart from that, there's nothing to incentivize players to keep spending money until Smite 2 comes out. What you're doing there is basically just telling your community, like, hey, don't spend any more money on any of those games that we're working on, because there's a really big chance that they'll just shut down in the future. You won't get any refunds for all that money, but at least we can still enjoy Realm Royale until next February. We still have plenty of time. I was playing it on stream right here on YouTube, which you guys should definitely watch, by the way, and I could still find matches. I could still, get a couple of games in. I got my butt kicked a few times. That was awful, but I still managed to revive that feeling of nostalgia of dropping into the map, getting a few kills here and there, and just, having fun. Also, isn't it weird that we're starting to feel nostalgia for dead live service games that aren't even 10 years old? It's just such a weird experience, because if I want to play a Nintendo 64 game, I can just emulate it and play it right here. But if I want to play Hyperscape or Rumbleverse or any other dead game, there's no way I can do that. There's no way to relive that nostalgia other than just watching YouTube videos. So I'm sure that a lot of people also feel that way about Realm Royale too. Hi-Rez as a company, for all the mess ups that they've done throughout the years, you can't deny that they've really thrown out some bangers. They've done some really good work with releasing their games. They get hundreds of thousands of players playing them, so they've definitely made their mark on the gaming industry, but it's just kind of depressing to see how it's all gone downhill over the years. Like, I personally don't know what to make of it. Maybe some other company like Tencent can buy Hi-Rez and bring it back to its former glory days, like how they're speculating is going to happen with Ubisoft, but I don't know, man. We'll just have to wait and see. But that's all I really wanted to talk about with you guys, so thank you guys for watching.